Yo, what's good, guys? It's Austin here, or Luna. So, throughout the years, I'm not gonna lie, I've developed, well, not even developed, I probably had it before I even started doing YouTube. I have a little bit of a problem when it comes to ordering like DoorDash and stuff, and like just ordering delivery in general. Yeah, I spend a lot of money on DoorDash every year. It's actually kind of sad when I do my taxes at the end of the year and I have to like look at how much I spent on that. I'm like, wow, I'm an idiot. Like, I could have just, like, went and picked this up and saved probably $20. But yeah, it's convenient. It's nice, whatever, right? You're probably like, Austin, why are you telling me about your stupid DoorDash addiction? I don't care. I don't care that you order food late at night. I don't care about your Taco Bell. I don't care about whatever you're ordering. I don't care. Well, from ordering food, I've gotten a lot of interesting delivery drivers. I've gotten some really cool delivery drivers, like repeat drivers that I see a lot, and they're, like, really cool, and, like, we know each other on a first-name basis, and we're cool, right? But then I've gotten some drivers that kind of suck. Those kind of drivers that like leave your food at the wrong house or like, give you attitude about delivering your food. And I don't mind mistakes, right? Like if you leave it on the wrong house or something and like you didn't realize it, that's one thing. But I've had some people like literally leave my food at the wrong house. And then I'm like, hey man, you left it at the wrong house. Can you come like bring it to me? Because you just dropped it off like literally a mile away and I don't want to walk that far. And they're like, can you just go get it? And it's like, no, dude, I tipped you $10 and paid the delivery fee so you would deliver it to me, not make me walk a mile to get it. Point is, I've had some shitty drivers. And today's story is about one of those shitty drivers. The shittiest driver I've probably ever had in my life. So yeah, let's jump into it. Today's story time takes place 2 years ago. Yeah, not that long ago, relatively recent compared to some of the recent stories I've been telling on this channel. Yeah, not too long ago, right? This all starts off like a normal day back then. I jumped up out of bed, took a shower, got ready. I had plenty of time to like just get ready and chill on this day. I didn't have anything planned. And about halfway through the day, I was playing some games on Discord with a couple IRL friends of mine. And I asked them like, yo, do you guys want to pull up today and do something? Like, do you guys have off work tomorrow? And they were like, yeah, we have off. So my friends within like the next hour pulled up to my house, right? And we were hanging out in real life at my crib, just kicking it. And we didn't really know what we wanted to do. I just wanted to hang out in real life. I didn't want to like be on Discord all day. There's some days where I want to be on Discord all day. And then there's some days where I want to be like social and physically, in the room with my friends. And this was one of those days. So we're just kicking it in my living room, hanging out, trying to figure out something to do. And one of my friends was like, yo, we could go to this water park. Now, I don't usually go to the water park when I'm bored. I haven't done that since I was like a teenager. But you know what? We had nothing else to do. So I was like, why not? So we go to this water park, and this isn't really too important to the story, but I want to talk about it anyway because it's funny. We get there, and like the first thing we do is like we change into our bathing suits, obviously, in the locker room, and we go to this water slide, and we're in line. There's like a super long line for the water slide. And this kid's in front of us. This like 9-year-old kid. He's right in front of us. And he's by himself. I don't know where his parents were. I don't know like where his friends were. But he was by himself in line, waiting to go on this big water slide, holding his little tube. And he turns around and he sees us all standing there waiting. And he goes, what are you guys doing here? And me and all my friends kind of looked at each other like, who's going to respond to this kid? Like, who's going to talk? And no one was responding. Nobody was saying anything. So I replied and I was like, oh, we're just here to enjoy the water park. And he goes, how old are you? And I kind of like hesitated for a second because I was like, is he about to like roast me like, if I say how old I am? Like if I tell him I'm in my 20s, is he going to cook me? And before I could even say my age and how old we were, he goes, you guys look way too old to be here. And I was like, hey man, you're never too old to enjoy a water slide. And he goes, yeah, you are. You are. And my friend chimes in, he's like, hey little man, like you're going to be our age one day and you're going to still like the water park, I promise. And he goes, no, I'll probably have a job. Unlike you guys. And I look over at my friend and I'm like, yo, this fucking 9-year-old's like cooking us right now. And my friend's like, yeah, let's just ignore him. So we like didn't reply to him. And we keep like waiting on the line to go up to the slide. And we get up there finally. And the kid goes first. Like he gets on the slide and he goes to go down it. And just as like the lifeguard's like pushing him down the slide, he turns around and he looks at us and he goes, see you losers. And he goes down the slide. See, this little 9-year-old kid, he didn't like us very much. I thought that was kind of funny. But anyway, that was like the only part of the water park I want to talk about. The whole water park situation was fine, right? It's after the water park where the story time really, really starts, right? So we get done at the water park. It's getting late now and we're starving. But we were also covered in chlorine and, we felt kind of dirty and we didn't really want to like be out anymore. So I was like, hey, let's just go back to my place. We can shower and like chill and I'll just order food for everyone. I'll order pizza. And my friend's like, bet. So we get in the car. we head back to my house, we shower and stuff, and we're just hanging out in my kitchen, and I'm on my phone scrolling DoorDash trying to find like food to order. And I said pizza, so I was looking at pizza places and stuff, like trying to, figure out what we were gonna get. And I found this one place that I'd ordered from before that I liked, and I was like, yo, you guys good with this? And all my friends are like, yeah, man, that's fine. So I went on there, I ordered like a super big pizza, some wings, drinks, stuff like that, and I placed the order. And then the waiting game started. And we waited for about 45 minutes or so. And sure enough, like 45 minutes or so goes by and the driver pulls up. And I look out the window and I noticed that the driver was in the wrong driveway. He was in my neighbor's driveway across the street, like 2 houses over, right? So I like went out on my balcony and I yelled over to him when he was getting out of his car. I was like, hey man, like over here. And he goes, what? And I was like, over here, like this is the house, not that one. Just letting him know that he was at the wrong house. And he goes, fuck, okay. And he starts walking over to my house with the pizza, looking very angry and like rolling his eyes. And I just kind of thought to myself, like, all right, like whatever, dude. Like maybe he's having a bad day, right? So he gets to my door. I go downstairs. I open the front door. And he gives me the pizza, gives me the wings, the drinks. And I put them down on like this little table I had by my front door so I could grab my wallet and tip him. Because I didn't actually tip him through DoorDash like I normally would. I thought I'll just give him cash tip. I don't know. Just seemed like it'd be easier. I had some spare cash laying around. Figured I'd give him that. So when I put the food down to grab the money and tip him, he goes, yeah, finding this place was really, really fucking hard. And I was like, oh shit, really? Like DoorDash, like GPS or whatever didn't help you? He's like, no, not at all. Like your house on the GPS, it doesn't go to your house. It goes to that one that I pulled into. Now guys, I've GPSed it on Google Maps, Apple Maps, all the maps. They all go to the right house. I don't know about DoorDash. I don't know if DoorDash has its own mapping system. It probably does. So he probably wasn't lying or anything. But he's talking like at me, like it was my problem that I needed to fix. Like he was like making it sound like I inconvenienced him. So I just said like, oh, my bad, man. Like hopefully they fix that soon. And he goes, yeah, you should like message them or something. And I was like, cool. Yeah, I will. Like, where do I go to do that? Because he's the driver. I thought he might know where to message support. Like maybe they had like a website or like an email, or maybe I had to do it through the app. And he's like, I don't know. Why would I know that? I was like, I don't know. I just, I thought you're a driver. Like, maybe you would know like a support number or email. He's like, no, I don't. And I was like, okay. So I pull out the money and I tipped him very well for like the attitude he was giving me. Bro, I usually tip 20 to 25% of the order, but this order was a pretty big order and I had extra cash on me. So I tipped probably about 30% or more. I gave him like $16, right? Or $17 as a tip just because I was feeling nice, right? And I shit you not, he takes the money, looks at me, and he goes, huh, thanks. And it sounded like he was like really upset with the amount that he got. And I was like, are you like not happy with that tip or something? Like, are you okay? And he goes, no, it's just, it's funny. Like you live in a house like this and you're giving me this much. And I was like, what the fuck is that supposed to mean? And he's like, nothing. He turns around and he starts walking away. And I was like, here, I have a better idea. Come here, come back. And he turns around and he comes up to me. I was like, let me see the cash. Let me see it. And he goes, okay. And he hands it back to me. And I backed up. I slammed the door in his face and I threw the finger at him through the glass window of my door. Cause nah, man, fuck that. Like you got more than anyone would probably ever tip you all day. And you complain that it's not enough? Like, are you fucking kidding me? Also, I want to let it be known, my house wasn't even that, like, nice from the outside. I don't know what he was saying. He was acting like I was living in some mansion or something, and that, like, because of that, I should have tipped him more money. I lived in a pretty average-looking house. I don't think it was that insane looking. But yeah, he was trying to assume that, like, because my house looked nice, that I should have given him more money. But, like, bro, given the fact that he gave me that fucked-ass attitude and, like, was being hella rude, he's lucky he even got the tip that he got. But yeah, he wanted to be a dickhead. So I took my money back, slammed the door, and I said, fuck you, and I threw him the finger. And he didn't like that very much. He starts pounding on my door, trying to get me to open it so we can keep talking, to which I grabbed the food, I turned around, and I went back upstairs to my kitchen where my friends were, and I put the pizza on the counter, and while I'm getting plates and stuff for us to eat, one of my friends is like, yo, are you gonna, like, answer the door? Like, the pizza guy's still pounding on it. And I was like, nah, I'm not gonna answer the door. Fuck that guy. And he's like, what happened? I was like, bro, I went down there. He gave me like crazy attitude and then acted like he was owed more money than what I tipped him. And my friend's like, what'd you tip him? And I was like, I don't know, like 16, 17 bucks. And my friend's like, what the fuck? That's a lot. And I was like, I know. That's what I'm saying. And he's like, dude, fuck that guy. And I was like, I know, bro. Like I straight up like slammed the door in his face and I threw him the finger. I took my money back. And my friends were all laughing. They're like, no way. And I was like, yeah. And yeah, he kept pounding on the door while I kept, getting the plates and stuff. And then he started to pound on my door a little bit too hard. It kind of sounded like he was kicking it. And my one friend was like, yo, is he kicking your door right now? And we went downstairs all together in a group. And this asshole is literally like holding his hands up on the side of like my brick wall and like fucking kicking my door. So I swing the door open because he's gonna fucking kick my door down if I don't. And he's like, I wasn't fucking done talking to you, piece of shit. And I was like, yo, get the fuck off my porch, please. And he's like, no, how about that? How about no? And I was like, how about fuck off, bro? I'm not giving you your money. I'm not giving you shit. Our conversation's over. You want to be ungrateful, so now you get nothing. And he's like, oh, you think you're tough with your boys here now? He starts like walking into my house, getting face to face with me. And I was like, bro, I'm not treating you any differently than I would if I was alone, which was the truth. I already threw him the finger without my friends being there. I already took the money out of his hand. Like nothing would change, right? And he's like getting up in my face now. And I was like, oh, you gonna swing on me? He's like, I might if we keep talking shit. And I was like, all right, bro, do it. And he's like, I might. And I was like, okay, so do it. And he wasn't doing it. Now, should I have egged him on? No, obviously not. In this situation, I was only making it worse. But then he said something really weird. He was like, give me my tip back. And me and all my friends all laughed. Like in unison, we laughed. Because it's like, bro, I'm not giving you that money now. Like you're being a dick. So I told that to him. I was like, bro, you're not getting that money back. You are being a straight dickhead right now. Absolutely not. And he goes, give me the tip back and I'll leave. And I'm like, bro, you're going to be leaving regardless. You either leave here on your own 2 feet, and you walk to your car and you dip, or the cops can just drag you out. Because at this point, you're on my property without my permission. So it's up to you. He goes, oh, you're a little bitch, you're going to call the cops? And I was like, I'm not going to call him, bro. But if you don't leave, I'm going to call him. Like, you got to go. And he wouldn't leave. And he keeps getting closer and closer to my face. And my friends are just watching. And I was like, yo, are you about to kiss me or something? Like, what are we doing here? And he's like, yeah, you'd probably like that, wouldn't you? And I was like, no, I wouldn't like it, bro. Can you please leave? And he goes, okay, money first. And I was like, dude, do you really need $16 that bad? He's like, yeah, give it back to me. And I was like, no, I'm not fucking giving it to you. And then this dude has the audacity to go, why not? And I was like, bro, why the fuck do you think? And he's like, I don't know. And I go, all right, man, here, how about this? You tell me what you did wrong and you apologize for it, and I'll give you the $16 back, okay? And he's like, I didn't do anything wrong. And I was like, okay, have a nice day, man. Please leave. And he actually listens. He just like shrugs his shoulders, rolls his eyes at me, and he walks out my door. And I close the door, I lock it behind him, and I'm like, all right, finally that's over with. And I watched him from the front door window walk to his car, get into his car, and drive off. After that, me and my friends went upstairs, we sat down at the table, we were in disbelief at what just fucking happened, and we spent the next 30 minutes eating the pizza kind of quietly and just being like, yo, what the fuck just happened? Like, I remember towards the end of us eating, one of my friends looked at me, and he was like, yo, you got another story time for your channel. And I was like, honestly, man, I don't think that's story worthy. He's like, what do you mean? And I was like, I don't know, like, it was kind of crazy, but, like, nothing really happened that I feel like made it worthy to be on my channel. He's like, dude, are you fucking kidding me? Like, that dude was trying to kick your door down. He's, like, in your face, like, some pizza guy trying to fight you? That's insane. And I was like, yeah, I mean, yeah, maybe you're right. Okay, yeah, I'll think about it. Yeah, well, little did I know, this story time was about to get a whole lot more story-worthy, like, you know, YouTube channel-worthy, in just a few hours. So, yeah, like, 3 hours go by. At this point, me and my friends are in my living room just hanging out. They're going to be going home soon. As a matter of fact, one of my friends was literally putting his shoes on, about to leave, when all of a sudden, I see headlights pull into my driveway. So the way my house was set up was the living room window kind of outlooked on the driveway. So if someone pulled in, you could see their headlights like bouncing off the ceiling in my living room, and like you can kind of see their headlights. So I ran over to the living room window to see who was pulling into my driveway, and I assumed it was just going to be like a car turning around or something, because sometimes people would use my driveway to turn around. But when I looked in the driveway, I saw 2 cars. Yeah, 2 fucking cars in my driveway. And one of them looked very familiar. One of them was the same exact car that delivery driver was driving just a few hours ago. And I turned around and I looked at my friends and I was like, yo, come look at this shit. And they run over to the window and they're looking. And my one friend goes, yo, is that the delivery driver? And I was like, bro, I think it is. That's the same fucking car, isn't it? And he's like, yeah. And just right after we say that, bro, literally right after he says it, the door opens up and this guy gets out, the fucking delivery driver. And then the other door opens up to the other car, and this random guy gets out. And now there's 2 guys coming up to my front door. And I was like, yo, what the fuck is going on right now? Like, seriously, what is going on? So me and my friends go downstairs, go up to the front door. They're knocking on it. I opened the front door. I shouldn't have. I should have just let them knock and just let them get bored and leave. But I entertained it. I opened the front door, and these two guys are standing there on my porch. And I was like, what the hell do y'all want, man? Like, what is going on right now? And this random guy, I'm assuming it was the delivery driver's friend, he speaks up. He's like, I'm here for my buddy. I heard you robbed him earlier. I was like, what the fuck are you talking about? I robbed him earlier. No, I didn't rob him earlier. I gave him a tip, gave him some money. He was super fucking rude, so I took the tip back. And he goes, yeah, that's robbing people. I was like, no, it wasn't. He handed me the money and I closed the door. I didn't rob him. What the fuck? Like, this guy was literally making it sound like I fucking put a gun to his head and was like, give me back my $16, bitch. Like, that just didn't happen. So after I explained to him what really happened, he still didn't believe me. He was like, no, I heard that you robbed my boy. And I was like, nah, I didn't. And I slammed the door in their face. I just closed the door and I locked it. And me and my friends went back upstairs and they just kept knocking. They kept knocking for like probably 10, 15 minutes straight, right? Just not stopping. And I didn't care. I was like, nah, man, fuck that. We're ignoring them. We're not answering the door. Like, let them get bored. Let them tire themselves out. Eventually, they'll get back in their cars and they'll drive off. And this fucking psycho stalker DoorDash driver will leave me alone, right? Well, I was wrong. Because after they knocked for about 15 minutes, I looked out my window and they were just standing by their cars looking up at the window at me. And I was like, what the hell is wrong with these guys, man? Like, they won't leave. And they ended up hanging out, like, in front of my house for another 15 minutes until finally my friend came up and was like, yo, we should probably call the cops. And I was like, I don't really know if it's worth it, man. Like, they're just standing out there. Like, I don't think they're going to do anything. And my friend's like, bro, they're weird, man. I don't trust them. Like, we should call the cops. And I was thinking about it, right? I was about 50-50 on that. Part of me wanted to call the cops. Like, part of me wanted to do it because I knew the cops would get them to leave. But the other part of me didn't want to involve the police and go through like the, process of potentially making a report or something, Now, I will say, if any of you ever find yourself in a situation like this, just call the cops. If there's two random people banging on your door, being hostile and being weird, like, call the fucking cops. I should have called them immediately when the dude tried to get into my house to get the money back. But, yeah, I was just being stupid, I guess. Well, anyway, I'm standing there, right? And I'm thinking, and like 5 minutes later, while I'm still thinking if I want to call the cops or not, I see one of the people, not the DoorDash driver, but his friend, go into his car. He pops the trunk, and I see him grab a baseball bat out of his trunk. And then I see the DoorDash driver go into the same trunk and grab some tool, like some big wrench or something. And I'm like, okay, now I'm calling the cops. They got a fucking baseball bat and a wrench, and they're in front of my house with weapons now. Like, I'm calling the cops. So I call up the police, right? I call them up. And this operator answers. She's like, 911, what's your emergency? I was like, hey, so I had this DoorDash driver earlier, and he was being rude, so I took his tip back. And then he got mad and tried to like break into my house by kicking down the door, and he came into my house and argued with me, and it was really a lot, right? Like, I didn't know what this guy's problem was. Well, he returned back to my house a few hours later, and now he's in my driveway with some random guy. One of them has a baseball bat, one of them has a wrench of some sort. They're clearly trying to threaten me with these like weapons. I don't really know if they're capable of doing anything or not, so I'm just not going to take the chance. That's why I'm calling you guys. Can you come and help me? I just want them to leave. And she was like, oh yeah, like that sounds horrible. Like, don't worry, like we're on the way. And she's being a good operator, right? And I'm waiting. And I go out on my balcony while I'm on the phone with them. And I look down and I see these two dickheads still in my driveway with their bat and their wrench. And they're just standing there, like holding it in both hands, just like staring up at me. And they could visibly see me on the phone. They probably knew I was on the phone with the cops, but they did not care. They just stood there super ominously, just staring up at me, looking real menacing, right? Looking real weird. And yeah, I just stayed on the phone with the cops until they got there. They sent 2 police cars, and it did not take them very long to arrive. They arrived within like probably 7-8 minutes. It was pretty quick, right? Pretty fast. And when the cops pulled up, immediately one of them jumped out of their car and was like, oh, guys, what are you doing? Put those down right now. And they listened. One of them dropped the bat, one of them dropped the wrench, and the cops walked up to him and started talking to him, right? And that's when I went down there. And I went out there and I started talking to the cops as well. And they're talking to one cop, I'm talking to the other, and I'm just basically telling my side of things. I was like, yeah, he was a DoorDash driver. He was mad that I took his tip away. And while I'm explaining the story to this cop and like letting him know what happened, I could see the cop's like face get visibly more and more disgusted with the actions of this DoorDash driver. Like when I was done telling him what happened, he straight up went, wow, that's something I've never heard before. That's kind of unbelievable. And I was like, yeah. And he goes, honestly, man, I would have done the same thing. He's like, if my driver was that rude, he wouldn't have gotten anything. And I was like, thank you. I'm happy you understand that. Now, after I talked to this cop for a little bit, the other cop comes over and he's like talking to his cop friend. They're conversing in police language. I don't know what they're saying, right? I'm not listening. And after like a few minutes of them talking, I'm kind of standing off to the side, right? They both look at me, and the other cop, not the one I originally talked to, the other one, the one that was talking to the driver, he looks over at me and he's like, come here. And I walk up to him a little closer and he goes, listen, I talked to those guys over there, right? And everything they said, it pretty much lines up with everything you said to my buddy here. And he points to his police officer friend. And I was like, really? I'm surprised they didn't lie to you guys. And I really was. Like, I was so surprised they didn't lie to the cops. Maybe they were just scared of getting caught. If they lied, I don't know. But anyway, after I said that, the cop was like, well, they didn't lie to us, but they definitely kind of made it sound like they were the victims in this situation. Specifically the driver. He was trying to sound like, you stole his money or something. And I was like, listen, I'll tell you what I did. I gave him the tip. He was pretty rude to me. And then, yeah, I told him to come here and hand me the money back. And did I say it in probably a deceitful way? Yeah, I probably made it sound like I was going to give him more or something. But like, given the way he was acting and given the way he's acting right now, I don't feel bad. And the cop was like, that's completely understandable. And then he's like, so what do you want us to do? Like, we can go about this a lot of different ways. Like, at the end of the day, they threatened you. They had a baseball bat and a wrench. You know what I mean? Like, we can do something about this if you'd like. And I was like, honestly, man, I just want them off my property and I want them to never come back. And they were like, yeah, we can make that happen. Do you like own this place? Is it like a rental? Like, how do you live here? And I was like, it's a rental. And they're like, okay, do you have your landlord's number? I was like, yes. So we ended up calling up my landlord, right? And my landlord had to drive down there to the house, pull up, and I had to tell him the whole story of what happened. And he had to talk to the police. And the police ended up trespassing these dudes from the entire townhouse complex. So they got completely trespassed, right? They could never come back to this townhouse like complex ever again. Not just my house, but any house in this complex. So if they had friends or family or anyone living there, they couldn't come back. At least that's what I was told. And not only did like the cops trespass them, but the landlord ended up going to the security office because like we had security at our buildings. They would like patrol every couple hours, and the landlord told security about them. So yeah, security also knew about these guys and kept an eye out for them. And yeah, they got essentially banned from my neighborhood pretty much. Now, to be honest, in the grand scheme of things, that's not that bad of a punishment. Like, given the fact that they straight up were threatening us with a baseball bat and some, big wrench, like that's a pretty easy kind of off the hook punishment in my opinion. Just getting banned from the complex, like pretty insane. Could I have probably pressed the issue a lot harder and gotten them like in a lot of trouble? Probably. I'm sure the cops were probably supposed to do more in that situation, but I don't know. It seemed like they didn't want to press the issue really hard unless I wanted to. So I kind of just like backed off and I was like, yeah, I just want them gone. And that was the truth. At the time, I kind of did just want them gone. And I'm not going to lie, it worked. I never saw them again after this. But I will say, if that shit happened now, like if some motherfuckers pulled up to my driveway now and they were trying to threaten me, and like I had to call the cops over it and shit, I probably would just press the issue and really get them in trouble. Cause that's some whack ass behavior, bro. Like to pull up with a buddy of yours with a baseball bat and a wrench and to stand outside of my house over 16, 17 fucking dollars, dude. Like, what are we doing, bro? What the fuck are we doing? Like, for real. Are we for real right now? Like, $16 is not that important, I promise. Like, yeah, you can get some Taco Bell with 16 bucks. You can buy some McDonald's. You can maybe even buy something a little nicer than those places. But to pull up to my door, try and kick it down, try and get in my face and fight me, and then come back a few hours later with your boy and threaten us with fucking handheld weapons, what the fuck are we really even talking about right now? Honestly, part of me wanted to go back in time and just let him take the fucking tip so I didn't have to deal with any of this. Because this dude was clearly just out of his damn mind. Now, believe it or not, the story time doesn't actually end there. I know there's probably a lot of you that think it's over, and I bet a lot of people already clicked off this video as soon as I said that I never saw them again. They probably thought the story was over, but this is why you should watch to the end, because there's more. So, I actually got them in a little bit more trouble after this. So, when I got inside after the cops left, right, and after the guys left, and everything was done, my friends were about to head out, and one of them walked up to me and was like, yo, are you gonna be good? Like, you gonna like be okay? I was like, yeah, man, I'll be fine. Like, they're gone. They got trespassed. It'll be fine. And that same friend was like, yo, you know what you should do? You should hit up like DoorDash support. You should email them and like get this motherfucker fired or something if you can. Because this is the kind of guy that shouldn't be in contact with anybody. This guy should not be delivering food to the general public. Like, this guy's a dickhead. And I was like, yeah, I mean, I can message them, but I'm not going to get my hopes up. Like, they're probably not going to do anything. Because like most of the time when I would have an issue on one of these like food delivery apps with like my food or a driver, and I'd try and like bring it to their attention, I'd get a reply like, oh, hey, we're sorry that guy took a shit on your pizza. Here's a $10 credit and a smiley face. Okay, I'm like half joking. Obviously, no one's ever shit on my pizza before. If that happened, that would be insane. And I'm sure that guy would get fired. But most of the time when I would like message support for any kind of issue, that would be the kind of like response I would get. Anyway, I messaged support, right? I opened DoorDash. I like contacted support about the order. And I listed everything that happened, and I like, you know, pretty much wrote a whole detailed paragraph, essay even, about what happened. And sure enough, the default like help thing just gave me like a $20 credit or something like that. And I was like, you know what, let me try something else. So I went onto Twitter, and I jumped on my verified Twitter account. And let me just say, before I continue, I don't do this very often because first of all, it doesn't really work most of the time. And two, I think it's kind of lame to try and like use your influence to like get stuff out of it, you know? I've only ever really done it twice, and it was like this instance. And then one time a hurricane fucked up one of my flights back to New York, and I DM'd JetBlue, and they like reimbursed my entire flight and put me on some like other plane really fast. So that was cool. But I DM'd DoorDash on Twitter. I ended up DMing them, and I was like, yo, so I use your service all the time, right? And this dickhead, I just had to like call the cops on him and his buddy because he was butthurt about not getting tipped enough money, and he caused a whole scene. And I explained the whole thing. I went into a lot more detail than that, and I told it in the full truth of exactly what happened. And I didn't say like, oh, you should fire this guy or you should like, you know, get him in trouble. All I said was, look, maybe you should like shoot him a message and be like, hey, stop terrorizing your customers, you know? Don't do what you did to this guy again. And they replied, and they were like, oh, no, I'm so sorry. Like, we'll look into it, you know, blah, 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 right? Kind of gave me the NPC copy-paste customer service response, right? Didn't really think much of it. Well, about a month or two later, I got curious, right? And I forgot to mention this earlier on in the story time, but when the police came and they were trespassing them, I heard both of their legal names. I heard the DoorDash driver say his legal name, and I heard his friend say his legal name. And like, I already knew the DoorDash driver's first name because literally his first name was on his DoorDash account when he delivered the food. But like, yeah, I had his last name now, right? So a couple months later, after all of this unfolded and it was kind of over with, I got curious. So I searched up the DoorDash driver's name on the internet, on Facebook specifically, and I found this dude's Facebook. And sure enough, after like just a couple scrolls, I saw a post from like 2 weeks prior of this guy bitching about how DoorDash banned his account from being a driver. He couldn't be a driver anymore. He got fucking fired essentially from DoorDash. Now that's not to say he still couldn't do Uber Eats or Postmates or Grubhub or any of the other fucking, you know, delivery apps, but DoorDash kicked his ass to the curb apparently. And he was bitching about it in a status, and he also bitched about me. Towards the end of the status, he goes, STG, I never want to do this shit again anyway, fucking lame-ass customers and shit. So it was kind of a shot at me, like, indirectly. He was basically saying, like, yo, like, fuck that customer, he's a lame. Now, there was a big part of me that wanted to reply and just be like, nah, man, you're a fucking lame. But I didn't, obviously, because that just would have reignited an entire, you know, issue that I didn't want to deal with, and I didn't want to, like, you know, kind of throw fuel in the fire, you know? I didn't want to, like, stoke the fires. So I ignored it, and I just kind of like screenshotted it and sent it to my friends that were there that night, and they were all laughing, and they found it just super hilarious that this guy was like posting about the situation still. But like, it was crazy, man. And all in all, it could have been a lot worse, but it still was pretty bad. I don't know, like 2 dudes showing up to your house, you know, threatening you with melee weapons, not a good time. But that leads me to the final thing I want to say here. Moral of this story is, if people ever show up to your house in a threatening manner, just call the cops. Don't do what I did and wait, because the longer I waited, the worse it got. I should have called the cops off rip, to be honest. Don't really know why I waited so long. But all in all, in the end, I was okay. My friends were okay. I kept my $16 or $17, something like that. And yeah, that dickhead DoorDash driver couldn't work for DoorDash anymore. Did I feel bad about it? Not really. I don't. I think anyone that's like that mean to the customers shouldn't be doing customer service to begin with. Like, even if he didn't try and kick my door down and like, come back with his friend and try and be all threatening, I still think he shouldn't have been working there, bro. Like, why are you being rude and making assumptions about the people that are ordering food? That's like fucked up. I don't know. It's just weird to me. But yeah, that's not to say there isn't a lot of really awesome DoorDash drivers out there. I order DoorDash like every fucking day. I'm not ashamed to admit it. Well, actually, I am ashamed to admit it. It's very stupid of me and it's a big waste of money. But I do it a lot, and most of my drivers, like I said in the beginning of this video, are very, very cool, and I love them. There's this one dude I get every night at like 3 in the morning. I'll order like Taco Bell, and well, maybe not every night actually, but like a lot of the time, he's one of the only drivers working that late in my area, so I'll get him, and he'll pull up to my house, and he's just always like, got the munchies again? And I'm like, yeah, and he's like, I feel you. Like, he's just super cool, man. Super cool dude. We always like chop it up. But yeah, man, all in all, crazy experience, crazy shit, and I thought you guys would enjoy hearing about it. So, if you guys enjoyed this story time, please leave a like on the video. I would really appreciate it. Feel free to leave your story times in the comments down below, and subscribe if you're new. I'll see you all later. Peace.
Take his 401k and I'll put it on my wrist.